Alright, Marianne. Let's check on things. Okay. State of affairs. And just unlock you there. And we should be able to skip for a little bit, since this all takes place before people started dying, after all. So there's that. Okay. So, first choice. What to do? Let's not. This time. I probably will another time. We got some options for doing different things.
We're both drunk.
Man, I didn't realize how much of a jump that is. Good grief. It's huge, man. It's crazy. Crazy affection there. Oh, Bella. Oh, it hurts so much to see you now. Oh, Bella, Bella, Bella. You're no longer here. Okay, so this is the same day she goes for lunch. Gotcha. You have something to say? Not that it matters with you anymore. Ha ha ha. Ah, it changed because of our affection with her before. She really isn't too professional, is she? I can't help but wonder why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion. Okay, are we... No. I would say that she's too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself. Her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself as one, and if Miss Cooper hadn't vouched for her. Why, she looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it, too. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property. I don't even know what to make of that whole meltdown that happened with that strange document. If I were the client, I would have been very upset. She'd be in hot water for it.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Are we back? Yes. It's not like I had a choice. And if I were a better person, I would have snapped at her. You didn't become some famous artist to be fated by the art world like you thought you would be? Big whoop. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place. And the sooner she figures that out, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. Okay, so we had some new stuff there from choices before. That's cool. I am going to continue waiting. No, I'm going to check it out. Because I think I've done everything with Hana on both choices, but I haven't done that with Luke. So we'll do that. Have her pop out at us. Okay. I don't think we've done this yet. Okay, went down a bit. Yeah, I haven't. Okay. Whatever little camaraderie I had with whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he's on his own. Mrs. Wright is still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me.
Me?
Can't I just chat with a good friend?
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends.
You both were kind of Egypts.
And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
I wonder what he would say here if they had actually slept together. Oh man, I gotta find that out too.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
Great. Good talk. Let's forget about what happened, Mr. Smarmy. Alright. Well, this one doesn't really matter. I'll say yes, it sounds fair. Oh man, we have a lot with Hana. I didn't even realize. Oh, whatever. Doesn't even matter. In the grand scheme of things, probably not. Okay. I think we should do the ground floor. Yes. Oh yeah, we didn't get this option last time because he was so pissy with us, so let's pick this. I don't think we've done this yet.
I don't know. She seems content.
Oof.
I mean, she's living a glamorous life. This is a mansion. You have a mansion.
Oh my god, it's a mansion.
Why would she want to go back to working for a paycheck? It's not like either of you are lacking of anything.
His face blanks out as I speak. And for a moment, I realized that I might have said something that he didn't like. A sore spot. A nerve. I hit a nail right on the head. And I wait for him to claim he's insulted, affronted by some lowly commoner. I'm ready to be shouted at.
Oh yes, it's a glamorous life, isn't it? We should just sit around, surrounded by our material wealth with no purpose or aim. That's how you like to imagine us, is that it? How'd you like to imagine me? Like I'm some fat cut who never had to work for where I'm at? It's not my fault you're sort of content where you're at.
What? No, that wasn't what I meant.
I don't apologize one bit for having high hopes for myself. I worked hard to get where I am. You have no bloody idea. Now, why don't you go back to your mediocre job so we can get this over and done with, and you can go home to your mediocre place that you're so content with?
Whew. Ouch. His knuckles are white as he grips the door to the music room tight. When he slams the door shut, locking me out, I can't help but think, what the fuck is his problem? Nice, Marianne.
I would have punched that bloke if I were you. Though, I know you're not that kind.
Thanks, Lorraine. That man, I don't understand him at all. And to think we might have been getting along. Okay. So forget about going into the music room then. That's fine. He'll have to go out there sooner or later. In the meantime, I got other fish to fry. Go fry my fish. Alone. Hi, Lorraine. Okay. Well, we're progressing through, having those dreams. Oh, right, because they didn't go... Yeah. There is no, overhearing for us to do this time. Yeah. Okay. As soon as I go into the kitchen, I realize I'm holding my breath. I let out a sigh of relief when I think nobody is looking, and I go back to the task at hand. It'll be a terribly busy day, and there's no need for me to even think of anything else. I talk with the foreman, fill him in which room is which. It seems I'm doomed to not get any significant work done without being interrupted when it comes to these particular clients, however.
Marianne, dear, have you had breakfast yet? Well, I do believe it would be considered brunch at this hour.
Oh yes, Mrs. Wright, I...
You must join me. Johans has already been breaking in the kitchen, as they say. I do not see the others settling down for a meal anytime soon. Someone might as well enjoy the food while it's hot. And that someone might as well be us.
I should say no. I really must say no. But the way she smiles at me makes it difficult to do so. Look at how ridiculous I'm being, acting like a silly, nervous schoolgirl with a crush. It's just brunch, and who am I to say no to a client? It would be impolite to do so. It's not like I'm going to agree because of anything other than propriety. I'm not agreeing just because she batted her pretty eyelashes at me.
If you insist.
It really isn't any of those, really. But it's something about her eyes, rather. She looks like she needs a good talk. A friend. And although I'm not supposed to be chummy with my client, there's no harm in pretending, right? Interesting. So she picked up on that early. Of course, I've been wrong on many occasions before. Maybe there is plenty harm in pretending that I care. Because pretending I care might lead to actually caring. Being alone in the same room as the missus leaves me reeling as I find myself paying too much attention to her. It seems so borderline unhealthy how much I'm getting obsessed, even if it's just by looking. And it's the little insignificant things that I noticed, like the way she plays with her hair or how she smooths down her dress.
Hiya! Come on now!
Whiskey's annoying voice in the other room helps pull me back to the ground. I'm just looking, aren't I? I know that someone like her wouldn't even look at someone like me. Still, there's some time to turn around this bad decision.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright. But I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Nonsense! You arrived so early, you must not have gotten a proper meal. Sit, sit! I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now.
Her concern is sweet, as is her smile. But I'm really not here for idle chit-chat, something I keep forgetting. We're both distracted when the food arrives, and it's enough for me to stay, at least until the meal is over. No more, no less, just to be polite. Thankfully, the conversation steers into a topic I'm comfortable with, work. This goes on for a bit, and I can't be more relieved. Most people don't understand, calling me a workaholic, but I chose to work in a field I'm enthusiastic about. So what if my career is also my hobby?
But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box. Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult.
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg.
I don't know why, but I forgot Hana's also dead. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she's so cute. I'm like, never mind.
Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
Wait, doesn't she own the house? I'm pretty sure. I have no business with it, though. It's theirs to hash out. But apparently, the momentary confusion had been visible on my face.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yes. What else is there to it? Without warning, this nice friendly chat devolved into something horrible. Something sad.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
Despite my general dislike of the upper class, I sometimes feel pity for them. They may have all the money in the world where material things aren't a problem, but they don't even see what they've become, where they've ended up, or what they've done most of the time. They're shut in by their own trap, forced to play along with society's expectations, and do anything to stay where they are and to keep what they have. A world where even people feel or are treated like they are mere possessions. When someone is at the top, the only way for them to go is down. I've worked with many Hanas and Lukes and Whiskies, but I've never been one of them. I don't pretend to understand their world any deeper than that. I merely know what I've witnessed before. She looks lost, speechless at how she betrayed herself. My pity for the likes of her returns. Nothing but pity moves me as I speak before she can say anything else that might ruin or break her.
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you, and whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand. These sort of affairs. If anyone were to know this, They could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
The way she practically begs me to keep quiet about it is disheartening. I have no plans of speaking about anything I hear, especially if it is about their private affairs. But the way she looks at me, the way she just expects some sort of fallout because of this, makes my heart clench.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
It's not like I have any other choice, do I?
Thank you.
When the last of the food and drink is gone, the door opens as if on cue.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
She stands to up and leave, and all I want to do is reassure her again, to prove that I am someone she can trust. So, when she looks back my way, I didn't fight the smile that found its way on my face. I feel giddy. But the feeling dies down afterwards as I sober up. Oh well, back to work. Good job, girl. I'm glad you felt giddy for a little bit. Oh. Soon enough, I find myself drawn to the kitchen where the right butler has returned to. He has already claimed the space until he movers to back off, and none dares to question his proclamation either.
My kitchen. No kinder allowed. Little men running around with knives especially. We do not want any accidents to happen now, do we? Good? Good.
Good. I mean, it is a knife-wielding German standing there. I don't think anybody would be insane enough to refuse his request.
I hope I meet the age restriction, or at least the height restriction, because I'm asking to be let in here.
Nice.
You are allowed inside, McCulloch, but not the little ones.
Thank you. A shake of my head and a roll of my eyes is all I give him. It's not like I'm going to be of any trouble to him. I just need to look around, get my bearings. The breakfast had been distraction enough. I don't even want to think about what we just talked about. I just need to get my head straight and get back to work. I'm trying to remember if we had to beg him more last time or not. Can't remember. We've done both of these before.
Hey, are you alright there, Whiskey? You're looking like you need a serious drink.
Alright, we're back to even. That's okay. It's fine. Little back
I
and
take it
forth.
the investigation isn't going well.
Oh, is it after now? Let's see. Yep, it's after. Okay. Is this after Zach as well? Hold on. No, because we just saw him earlier today. Okay.
When does it ever? But that's not the problem, no. It's...
There's the sound of a mug being slammed down on the counter. It manages to catch my attention for a split second before I zone out again.
It doesn't matter how I am or how my investigation is going, all right?
Don't take that tone with me, boy. You know I'm only concerned. You're drinking too much as is, and I've never seen you drink before when you were here. Not once.
Oof. My heart. Gosh. Ashton.
You've been sulking here for over an hour now, which is unusual in itself. So tell me what's going on, because I'm pretty sure alcohol don't have the answer you're looking for.
That's fine, because all the answers I need are probably from you. Just give me what you know and I'll be out of your hair.
This about that torn-up girl on the news?
The voice clip won't even play.
It doesn't matter. I'm here to talk business.
Their talk would have interested me, would have kept my attention if I gave a damn. But in my current state, I can barely give two fucks about the things going on around me. All these words are just buzzing, barely surfacing from the sea of sounds that is the pub. And it would have stayed that way, perhaps even drowned, if I didn't hear his name.
Luke Wright. You know the guy. And don't pretend like you don't, G. It takes a special kind of ignorant not to know who he is.
That smug blonde who likes throwing round his money. He was just here a few days ago, as a matter of fact.
Okay, are we back? Yes. Alright. So he was drinking this time. Interesting. Oh, Ash, when we finally catch up with you, what will it be like? Oh man, are we already here? Whew. Marianne's chapter went by so fast. Okay. She was heavily... I thought it was like Ashton being heavily intoxicated, but no, it was Marianne. Alright, guys. Here we go. We're staying. Ash is gonna find a dead Marianne next time. It seems so cliché, like a death trap from an old horror movie. It might very well be a dead end down there. Hopefully not literally. Though I have no reason to fear for my life, it is hard to think I will be in any way safe if I continue in there. Haha, ironic. The thought makes a chill run down my spine. Yet nothing is as paralyzing as what I hear next. It's distinct and alien, and it's enough to make me look, nervous at what I might see there. Behind me, I only see...
Lorraine! You're here!
Okay, so it's not... Ghost Lady in her ghost form.
I thought I would never see you again.
I can't even question, how in God's name is this possible? Seeing her there fills me with such a strange feeling of relief. I had told myself I was ready to move on. Yet here I am, ready and willing to just embrace her back again with open arms. Oh boy. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips with skin so fair, and swaying hips. She laughs, and the smile she sends my way as she walks over makes my chest feel tight. But her eyes are the most beautiful of all.
I'm so sorry. I must look like a right mess. It's been so long.
I'm here, Em. I'm here now, don't you worry. Come here.
It takes everything I have not to tear up at the sight of her. She reaches out and slips her fingers through mine before pulling me away from the tunnel and towards the mirror. Our reflection, a grown woman and a teenager barely past her prime, lends a bizarre light to this whole scene.
I can't imagine how you've been so alone all these years. I left you, Lorraine. I didn't mean to, but that's what I did. I don't even know if you can ever forgive me.
Don't cry. Doesn't suit your pretty face. Besides, I don't have to be alone anymore, do I? You're here for me, aren't you? You'll never leave me again, will you?
My mouth goes dry as she looks at me. That isn't the plan. This isn't closure. Yet her hand in mine makes me believe that this is real. She's real, and that's all that matters. Nothing else.
Yes, of course. I wouldn't dare leave you.
Oh, Marianne, not like this.
You swear you won't leave me?
I swear to God, I won't, Lorraine.
Though her smile remains, I can only describe her expression as sad. She walks around until she stands just behind me and wraps her arms around my waist. I nearly crumble with how I am in her arms once more. And when she puts her chin in the crook of my neck and I feel her hot breath on my neck, I'm filled with both joy and grief. The scent of chocolate, almonds, honey, and beer surrounded me. My first taste of love. The love that I denied. It had been so bittersweet.
God's not the only one you're making promises to, Marianne. Swear it to me. Or, even better, prove it to me.
What do you want?
I'll stay forever with you, Lorraine. I swear it to you. How do I even prove it to you?
Simple.
She presses something in my hand. Like what, a dagger? A large glass shard from a wine bottle, cold and sharp. You want me to kill myself? I mean, I guess that would prove it.
You join me.
Is she suggesting that I...
Die for me.
Damn. That's dark.
Lorraine! That's...
That should have been your first clue that this is not Lorraine.
How can I?
How can I even do such a thing?
There's no need to be scared. I'll be here for you until the end, Marianne. Even if you hadn't done the same for me. But that's the only way I can forgive you. The only way we can be together again.
Oh, God! Oh my God. Why is there so much blood coming out of your mouth already? She guides my hand, raising the glass shard. My own hands are weak, as is my will, and I can only bare my neck to do with as she wishes. There is no reason, no self-preservation, as I mindlessly welcome my own death. as if it will lead me to my salvation. I feel nothing at first, other than the glass touching my skin like a caress, until a stinging sensation blooms from my neck. The pain sears and burns like nothing I felt before, and every breath intensifies the feeling. Even if I wanted to cry out and scream, I can only cough as a slick, metallic taste coats my tongue. The most I can do beyond that is rasp out, calling for her name.
Lorraine.
Cold and weak, I grow worse by the second. I cough with each ragged breath, expelling the blood that I'm inhaling through my slit throat.
Shush now. It'll be over soon.
Uh-huh.
Really soon.
There is a moment of doubt as I remember that the devil was once the most beautiful angel in heaven. That I shouldn't be deceived by such beauty. But in my final moments, all of that is soon forgotten. My mouth twitches. I can't muster even the smallest of smiles anymore. It's okay, Lorraine's smiling for you. But I'll be with Lorraine. Wow, that... We've had some interesting deaths in this. Desperate to deal with her painful past, Marianne McCullough excused herself from attending the housewarming party to search for Amy Lorraine within the mansion. Seeing her again, however, made her decide to join her dead friend instead. Look how pleased she looks with herself. Well, at least she didn't have to hear about Hana. I guess that's something. Memory collector. Huh. Well, they're having a fight. On the balcony outside the bedroom, it looks like? From the very little bit of detail I can see. But did he find out about what happened? Oh, man. Not enough to go on with this one. Poor Marianne. She died for something that didn't really give me much more info. Profiles. Becca. Alright. Well, here we go. Get to hear what Becca thinks about everything from her perspective.
You heard her, love. She's busy.
Because she was mad already to begin with. That's a little bit different. Okay.
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
Okay. Ghost can continue trying to take over.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself.
Huh.
Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
Yes, good. It's getting weirder and weirder seeing people that have already died. Ugh. It's so strange. So strange. Well, we've never done this one before, so...
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Will you give the sorting letter a rest already?
The effect is immediate. Abruptly, Isabella clamps her mouth shut. Hurt flickers across her face as she looks away, and her shoulders droop. All before the thought of holding back on my tone or how she'll take every word crosses my mind. When the realization does hit after, a twinge of guilt washes over me at once. But with all that has already been said and done, what am I supposed to tell her then? That I'm someone who can be so easily unsettled by my own assumptions? That this stupid sulk has been brought upon by some equally stupid jealousy? Yeah. That the simple glimpse of her and my childhood friend together infuriates a part of me? Or that I wish I'd been in her place during those times instead? True or not, I owe her neither of those. And if anything, she's the last person I want to know about it.
Look here. I'm not in the mood for this kind of talk tonight. My head is aching and I'm tired. I don't want to hear about the dumb letter, or the mansion, or whatever it was you saw in the bloody attic. Just get in the car and we're going home.
Sorry. I won't mention it again.
If you're so worried about it, why don't you just throw the blasted thing away?
You make it sound so easy.
Because it is. Here, hand it over, and I'll do it for you. Might as well shred it up while we're at it.
I hold a hand out to her, though the gesture is without any expectations. She's nothing if not stubborn, and it isn't surprising when she turns the offer down with a swat of her hand.
Rebecca, just leave it alone, okay? I get it. You don't want anything to do with it.
Good. I hope that settles it.
Yeah, just forget I mentioned anything. I'll figure it out myself.
That makes me stop again. This time I turn to look at her, searching her face for an explanation. But all she offers me is a sidelong glance and another one of those pained looks before climbing on the passenger seat and closing the door behind her. Somehow, even with the steady din of traffic around us, the sound of that feels heavier, weighted with everything we refuse to utter tonight. This is what I want, isn't it? It certainly doesn't feel like it. Good job. Okay, so she fell asleep again, but she'll wake us up. What's happening here? She was in a prickly mood and was not interested. Ah, because death has happened. Alright, 24th. I gotta check the journal. 24th. Oh, this is when... She must have died early morning, maybe? Very... I guess it would have been late at night, early morning, because she went to go see Zach. Yeah. In the alive version. It begins normally enough.
Isabella, I don't have time for this! Open up!
Or as normal as shouting outside her room could get this early in the evening. On a Monday, no less. This isn't how I want to start my week, but here I am, trying not to make a fool of myself in front of anyone who happens to pass by. I'm not even sure if our landlady's home yet, and I sure hope not. She won't like this ruckus. But it's not like we haven't had an argument before. We have, plenty of times. There's that one time with the groceries, and another that has something to do with the mess in her room. Sometimes it has to do with my eating habits or her eating habits. There's also the one in the movie house a few days ago, but that one got resolved pretty uneventfully. Or so I'd like to believe. She seemed to be in a good mood when she asked us all out for that little celebratory treat. Anyway, the point is, we didn't go through 5 years' worth of being friends without having a little argument here and there. Granted, it can get pretty petty at times, but none of them has pushed either of us to end this friendship. Yet. Although most of them does end up with her sulking in her room until I pull her out of it. A child through and through. Good grief, Becca. This morning, however...
You're still not going to believe me, even if someone else already died, no?
There really comes a point when you need to smack some sense into people. It's murder. The authorities said so. And yet she's still going on about the Halloween prank like it's that bloody letter's fault.
It's a piece of paper, Isabella. What can a piece of paper do? Give you a paper cut?
Yeah, right down the middle of your body and remove your organs, sure.
I swear, you can be so frustrating at times.
I hope you're saying that to yourself in the mirror. I know Rose is a close friend to her, but she's doing her death a huge disservice by being like this. Taking out my mobile, I dial her number, and sure enough, her own rings from the other side of the door. I don't hang up in case something possesses her to answer, or she's just sleeping. But I've been going at this for 15 minutes now. If she didn't hear me after that, she sure as hell is ignoring me. On purpose!
Isabella, I know you're in there. Can you please stop this nonsense? You're acting worse than my students when they're throwing a tantrum. You're not a kid anymore.
A minute. And another. Then I'm ending the call while fishing out a copy of her key from my bag and unlocking the door. Oh. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I simply stopped trying to hand it back to her. I mean, it's good you had it, I guess, although I'm sorry you had to be the one to find her like that. Good thing I did. Now her stubbornness is coming in handy. For once, she did something right. Miracles of miracles, isn't it?
Isabella, I'm coming in and we are going to talk.
Well, good luck with that. Without waiting for her answer, I pushed the door open and marched inside. I guess from this angle, she'll just see her sitting at the desk. Ugh. I hope they don't show a close-up version of this. It was bad enough looking at the small Polaroid. Her lights are off. Although the telly is running, it merely gives the room a dim glow. Dimmer than it used to be, in fact, mainly due to its age. She bought that set from a second-hand store nearby. It has been with her since she started living here, though she doesn't really watch anything on it. Even on weekends, she doesn't seem to have any use for it. It's just for background noise so the place wouldn't be as quiet if she's working at home. She told me before how much she misses the clamor of the city, and here in Salem, well, it's just quiet everywhere. That silence bothered her more than anything new and unfamiliar she encountered in her first year here. If the rent isn't cheap, she probably would have moved away already. It's an odd side of her, but there are worse ones.
Like when she's moping.
I find her sitting at her work desk, bent over the mess of papers and folders littering the top, nose almost touching the papers she's working on. Interesting. So she fell forward? Did Becca prop her up, or did the authorities prop her up to take the pictures? Because you would think if the authorities were taking pictures, they would do so without moving the body as much as possible to preserve, like, the crime scene? On one end, I can make out the silhouette of a stack of empty noodle cups, though I fight the unexpected urge to wrinkle my nose at the sight. Her cleaning habits are also the least of my concerns right now. I can reprimand her later for it. But first, we talk and put an end to those silly misconceptions she's been feeding her mind.
We need to talk about this letter nonsense.
She doesn't answer. She doesn't move. She's giving me the silent treatment because I won't buy her little horror story. Just the thought of it irks me and prods at my already short temper. And with each second that passes, it grows ever shorter.
Isabella, I know you're busy. I'll let you go back to your work once we sort this out. You can't keep going on like this.
Still no response, and slowly frustration begins to seep into my tone.
Why must you always be so difficult?
Then anger.
I'm telling you to listen to me! Oh, will you face me? I'm talking to you, Isabella!
Without warning, I've given her an ample number of those. I'm marching across her room, so you have given her warning. Each of my stride brisk and heavy with purpose when... Oh, the squish! It's not stepping on the apparent wet mess that forces my whole body to freeze. Rather, it's the sudden smell permeating the air. Bitter, sharp, thick enough that I can almost taste it. My hand hastily goes to cover my nose, but even then the acrid smell still reeks. Like the smell of iron reacting to the skin when rubbed. Like blood. My gaze shifts to Isabella's back, head still bent over her table, unmoving. In the light, I can't get a good look at her. But I know for sure she won't simply leave a puddle here. Not when she's working on papers she could accidentally spill on. A puddle of what, though? I don't want to make any hasty judgments yet, despite what my mind screams at me. It could be anything. There could be a leak here somewhere, or whatever. But despite what I tell myself, fear easily worms its way to my voice when I call out to her again.
Isabella?
Something heavy lodges itself to my throat.
Belle?
The sound of my heartbeat thrashes against my ears.
Belle, answer me, please.
With a trembling hand, I reach for her shoulder, and gently as I can, I turn her around. Please don't show me. Oh, God. I don't need to see that. No, not up close. Oh, everything's just falling out. No. Oh, no. My heart stops. A chill runs down my spine. Every edge, every corner in the room suddenly goes sharp. I can't breathe. And before I know it, my horrified scream ripples through the air. Into the meat grinder. Why would that be? Why would you name it that? That is so rude. Oh, Becca. As much as I don't like you sometimes, no one deserves to see that. Angry and fuming about her friend's behavior lately, Rebecca decided it was time to have the long talk. Upon entering Isabella's apartment, though, something seemed very, very wrong. A few hours afterwards, the whole place dissolves into chaos. Nameless people in white suits moving in and out of the room, fellow tenants crowding the nearby hallway to get a glimpse of whatever's inside. Paramedics and police officers trying to corral a growing group downstairs. At some point, nosy journalists have started flocking in, likely for a scoop. Because it is a scoop, no matter how much I want all of them to stay away. To not look at her.
Not like this. That isn't how you should see her.
It's a commotion. But amidst the ambulance's bright flashing lights, the murmurs of the curious bystanders, barely any of it registers. Hell, I can hardly remember anything when my landlady pulls me out of the room. I don't feel her hand against my shoulders as she ushers me out. I don't hear her muttered reassurances. Is it a gentle touch of comfort? How does her voice sound? They all come out empty, each and one of them falling hollow on my deafened ears. Because she's gone. She's gone. Yet I can't even bring myself to shed a single tear. Much as I will myself, no matter how much I repeat the words in my head, none of it will come out.
What's wrong with me?
Shock. We're friends, aren't we? I should be crying. If not, I should be angry at whoever did this to her. Anything. Anything better than this cold, empty feeling at the bottom of my stomach. Anything better than standing around here like a useless numpty that I am, watching all of these people zip by and examine her like she's just some other victim.
Female, around 20 to 25 years old.
Distant.
Time of death must be less than 5 or 6 hours ago.
Impersonal.
Cause, still unknown.
Everything about her, now broken down to ruthless statistics. She has a name, damn it! She has friends here! She has a family waiting for her back home! Someone please.
Crime scene?
Ugh.
Second floor, sir. Just upstairs. Second room after the stairs.
I mean, if Becca, of all people, in this moment cannot identify Ash's voice, who she's been in love with for like 15 years, she's taking this death hard. Oh, there it is. Ashton?
Hold on a sec. Did you say second room after the stairs?
Exactly what I said, sir. CSM should be there to brief you further on the scene. But, if I may, Inspector, you really don't want to see the body right now. Inspector Abigail had to excuse herself for a while after, you know.
I'll be the judge of that. Thanks.
His voice drifting from stairs below falls like a splash of cold water on me. Somehow, at the familiar tone of it, the world that has suddenly tilted sideways has righted itself. Every color, every sound rushes back in, and my head immediately snaps up in search of him. Oh. Nice picture. Another officer stops him upon reaching the floor, but a quick show of his badge is enough for them to allow him in. He doesn't waste any time. Ash quickly makes a beeline for the room and passes by where I'm standing without so much as a glance. He doesn't seem to have noticed me. His steps are even and sure as he walks by, his jaw clenched in a tight line. A complete departure from the easygoing air he gives off when he's with us. Like this, it's hard to think of that Ashton and the one in front of me as the same person. but a worried crease is on his forehead, a stiffness on the lines of his shoulders. And I know the moment that expression is on him, that this news should not just come from some crime scene manager. I should say something. I need to say something. Call out to him. Stop him. Because more than anyone, he shouldn't be the one taking on this case. He may be someone who'll understand how I feel about this, who knew the kind of person Isabella was. But will he be able to go at this with the same passive indifference his associates have? Of course, I'd never doubt his capability. That's a given, and he's already proven that more than once. But this may not be easy for him. What should I do? How should I even put it? I mean, don't stop him, because he'll just be... at first I thought, aren't these the same? But if you... Stopping him is like, no, don't see her. And he's like, I need, like Zach, he'd be like, I need to see her. Let's do this. Okay, we're back to even. I was the one who found her, the one who saw her first. Telling the rest of our group should at least be my responsibility. Lessen the blow for them as much as I can. Otherwise, they'd simply hear it from the news, delivered in the same uncaring manner, as if she has never been a huge part of our lives these past few years. I'd like to save them, save him from that pain.
Ashton, wait!
Ashton stops dead in his tracks, turns, his worried expression dissolving into confusion.
Rebecca? I thought they... Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm good. But Ashton, in that room.
The words refuse to form. My mouth opens and closes, yet even with my earlier resolve and a will to force them out, they still don't. All of them still lost in the haze of gory images and the acrid tang of blood. I shouldn't have assumed this would be easier. Shame fills me, especially with that tiny glimmer of hope he carries in his gaze, the searching look on him as if he's expecting to hear some good news from me. A desperate prayer for his assumptions to be wrong. It pains me I couldn't bring him that, and I can only look away.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
His expression doesn't fade away like I surmised, however. There is an effort in him to keep the atmosphere light, despite the shadow of death surrounding us. Slowly, he reaches up to me and gives my shoulder a squeeze. Light as it can be, a tiny effort to raise my spirits and perhaps even his own.
Don't. This is no one's fault. Just stay here. Let me look at the situation. It couldn't have been her. Autopsy might reveal something different. Who knows?
Ash, I was in there. I saw her with my own eyes, and I'm sure it's...
Becca, like I said, I'll look at the situation. Stay here. I'll be back.
His tone leaves no room for argument. I see the moment he tucks it all away. His apprehension, the growing anxiety in his stomach, even the part of himself he showed us so openly before. The friendly, easygoing Ash? He hides it all, builds an even thicker wall around it. He crosses the police tape without looking back and walks into the room an entirely different person. And from my place in the doorway, I witness all of it. How he never flinches nor gags at the smell of blood. How he studies and takes everything in with a straight face. How his voice drifts from inside the room every time he asks a question in a tone even and collected. How he checks the victim's, Isabella's, lifeless body without batting an eye, going about his work as if nothing ever happened at all. As if this isn't someone he knew personally.
Doesn't this faze you at all?
Before long, Ashton goes back out the hallway, still with the same impassive look on him. He waves someone over. Another officer? Forensics? Paramedic? After witnessing that, everything has become a daze for me. The next thing I know, someone's draping a blanket over my shoulders. Ah, the shock blanket.
Make sure she's okay and calm enough before they start taking her statement.
I don't protest when the medic starts leading me downstairs. She's speaking in hushed tones about an ambulance, though I don't understand much from it. But there's a thump. Muffled. Dull. Oh. I think he might have punched the wall. Enough for me to miss it have I not looked back, and the sight that greets me upon doing so is what leaves a mark in my memory before descending the stairs. There, Ashton stands with his back turned away from me, his shoulders shaking, a fist clenched firmly against the wall. And just like that, I have my answer. Does this faze him? No. He's worked plenty of cases before this one. He's got almost a decade of experience on that. Nothing's new in seeing and dealing with a dead body for him. But it hurts him. This hurts him more than anything. Oof. Man, choking on tears. Oh, boy. Detective Inspector Ashton Frey arrived at the crime scene to find Rebecca in a daze. After a brief talk, at the inspector's orders, a paramedic pulled her away to help her calm down before her witness statement was taken. Things are less busy where the paramedic guides me downstairs. By this time, the entire flat complex has been sealed off from any outsiders, though a considerable number of people has already flocked in front of the building. Reporters, gossips, onlookers. The size of them will probably grow until the important-looking officers clear out from the area. Joy of joys. On the far side of the parking lot, a few officers interview some of the tenants, particularly the ones living closer to us. Some of them offer me pitying looks when I pass by, all of which I do my best to ignore. I don't need them. Even the sympathetic smile the medic shoots my way, I return with less enthusiasm. She is, however, kind enough to escort me to get whatever I need. The investigators will be closing off the premises while the forensics gather evidence, she informs me. And of all the things to cross my mind first.
My mail.
Instead of any basic necessities someone in their right mind would think of first. Ridiculous. Yet, she doesn't say anything, simply nods and tells me to lead the way. For that, I'm grateful. Sometimes the silence is enough. And sometimes familiar sounds are enough. Even something as simple as the creaking of an old mailbox once I pull its lid down, and the shuffling of paper against my fingers as I go through today's mail.
Bills, brochures, a letter for Mom and Dad. I should probably call them, let them know.
A letter for Isabella.
And another one of Isabella's mail wound up in my mailbox. I should probably give this.
My hand tenses, fingers lightly tracing the name. Her name. Printed in bold letters at the top left area of the envelope. This will never reach her now. She'll never be able to read this now. A breathless chuckle. A ragged breath. A trembling hand over my mouth. Then, for the first time tonight, tears well up from deep within. She's gone. Ugh. Of course, that was the day you had to get mail. The following morning arrives unlike any other day before it, glaringly bright and clear. The fact that it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather doesn't help either. Although I appreciate catching a glimpse of an unclouded sky after last week's bout of sickness, the sun is simply shining a little too much today. Considering how the world has completely tilted on its axis last night. Too warm, too cheerful. A stark reminder of her, of the kind of person she is. She was.
That'll take some getting used to.
Everything will take some getting used to. Maybe it might have helped more if her name isn't already on every imaginable local broadsheet and news program. If everything around me doesn't evoke a memory or two. But that isn't how this usually works, does it? Easing into these thoughts, learning to go through a day without an entire person that always used to be there. 5 years may be fleeting, but it's enough time for someone to grow on you. Enough time for them to be a significant part of anyone's lives. And it's not just mine, but Ashton's and Zachary's as well. I remember seeing that. Bloody hell. A fistfight almost broke out between those two just because of this whole thing. Neither was at fault, of course. The emotions were high at the time. I left the scene as soon as the investigators are done with their questions, but...
I wonder if those two are going to be okay.
well, I won't really get the chance. I suppose this is all part of the coping thing. A mess happens, we are left to pick up the pieces after, and not everything is going to be pleasant. It's always about making do with what you have, and if that means getting stuck staying at an inn while the police finish off their investigation, well, there's nothing I can do about that now. Luckily, the nearby cafe's manager is also kind enough to offer me a space where I can temporarily put the sudden mess that is my life in proper order. Interesting. I've been sitting here for a few hours now. The manager gave me the table at the far end corner of the shop, and for the most part I was left alone. She might have something to do about that as well, which I am also thankful for. Were it not for her, what's left of my morning and the rest of my afternoon might not have gone as uneventful as it did. By sunset, I've already downed a few cups of coffee, informed St. Goretti I'll be taking a leave of absence today, and finished much of the tasks I've got scheduled today. Still pretty productive when everything's taken into account. All that's left for me to deal with is the mail. Specifically, the letter addressed for Mom and Da, and the call I have to make because of it. I've been ignoring it the whole day, putting it off for one reason or another. Worried, afraid of what they'll hear in my voice after last night. Of course, it's not like I'm not used to being caught in situations like this or having to deliver news while feeling under the weather. This isn't the first time, after all. Over the years, this has brought some sort of tradition, because their time in the academe naturally brought with it connections. People from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. Along with it are occasional invitations to parties or some gatherings. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mum and Da are proud of. Rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's as small a thing as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that mail arrived for you. I got it last night, but things happened.
A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. It's so sad that you can't tell your mom that your best friend was horribly murdered last night. So, excuse my tardiness. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it. But I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Da are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes from months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think.
Man, talk about a good memory.
But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring...
I can always bring Isabella with me, is what I'd say. What I've gotten into the habit of saying recently. Turns out I'm going to have to grow out of that sooner than expected. Hastily, I correct myself before they note anything amiss in my tone.
I can always go alone. I'm a big girl now. I can handle these things. This isn't too much of a big deal.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
Darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This, too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy, to some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion because she laughed.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender, and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it, though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. Soon, I'm leaning forward on the table, cushioning my head against my arms and closing my eyes. The last sound I hear is the news, the same headline from this morning.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Before I drift off to sleep. Something reeks. A heavy, festering scent clinging to the air, wrapping itself around me like little tendrils I'm unable to shake off. Like fingers curling around my neck, twisting, winding. I can almost taste it in my mouth. At my feet, water laps against my ankles, and with every step, every ripple created, the stench only grows stronger. But I push on, pulled further by an indistinct voice in the distance.
No, I'm not at the office! Never mind! We're not safe! Not anywhere!
The clutter that greets me inside is familiar. The empty noodle cups stacked on one end, yet to be disposed for some mundane reason. The pile of clothes to be pressed and folded. She'll get to it later, she promised. Files and papers strewn about the limited space she has, all because she needs to take her work home sometimes.
You didn't see what's in her room! That's not something another human being would do! Come on, Rebecca! You have to believe me this time!
It's stronger here. The smell. More suffocating, more invading. But there at the far corner, she sits, bent over the mess littering the top of her work desk, nose almost touching the papers on it. I call out to her. Once, twice. My voice only brimming with anger and frustration.
You're still not going to believe me, even if someone else already died, no?
She does not respond. Something heavy lodges itself to my throat. The sound of my heartbeat thrashes against my ears. With a trembling hand, I reach for her shoulder, and gently as I can, I turn her around.
No, I'm sorry. Wake up, please. Wake up.
I wake up with a gasp. With my heart hammering hard against my chest and my lungs threatening to strain themselves from sheer force of breathing.
Stop.
Stop. And everything just, calmed way down. That abruptness.
Stop thinking about it, Becca.
It takes a while before reality once again sets in for me to remember where I am. Here, there's none of that clutter. No unkempt bed she keeps forgetting to put in order. No papers littering every other surface my eyes can reach. No clothes left in a jumbled pile somewhere. No empty instant noodle cups I used to remind her to clean up every other day. Only tables carefully laid out for the customers, the soundless whir of the ceiling fans above. The murmurs of people dining in, and the strong fragrance of coffee and freshly baked pastries. A sense of sharp relief overcomes me, and a long-held breath escapes.
It'll pass. This'll pass.
I don't know. I feel like if I saw something like that, it would haunt me for many a year. Close by, I can sense the manager eyeing me with a concerned glance. Beside her, the night shift guy at the counter is doing the same thing, his eyes darting from the telly in their kitchen and me. I brush it all away with a wave of my hand and start gathering my things. I am out the door and into the busy Luxburn night streets before they begin asking questions. Before yesterday's ghosts can catch up to me.